Hello, everyone. It's the time for a new episode of Otaku Tea. It
Taco
is.
Tea. Oh,
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
a Taco
It's.
Tea podcast.
Yep, another Otaku Tea podcast. It is Saturday at 9 a.m. I am tired.
Wait. Don't date the podcast. No.
It's not dating it, but it's
Now,
early.
now they know how long it takes me to edit.
Shh. It's a secret, guys, but I'm
Uh,
tired. That's the reason why I'm telling you guys this.
Sad.
But don't worry, still going to give you a good podcast. This week is actually Valentine's Day week, which is well, actually, it's tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's so weird because yesterday okay, here's the thing. Yesterday, I took a small walk. I, I live near downtown, right? I walked from where I live to 34th Street,
Uh
and that
huh.
was my quote unquote small walk. Now, for those who don't live in Manhattan
In the cold.
in the cold, yeah, I did.
Uh huh.
That's literally, hold on.
Did you do like a loop or just like up to 34th and back? Basically the same.
I just did, it just went straight up and and then took the train down. Because I was like,
Oh.
I'm tired.
Uh huh.
But if you want a reference on how far that is 8 stops. No, 7 stops from where I live. If you're not counting the actual stop, um, like where I take the train from. But yeah, that is about 7 to 8 stops, on the train. And yeah, I just decided to walk. I stopped to get some Starbucks, and then I stopped through Astro Place just to see what was cool, what was fun around there. It was just food. I
Uh
noticed
huh.
that in Astro Place there was a couple of restaurants that were allowing indoor dining, but I'm like, are we even
That's.
allowed to do indoor dining yet?
I haven't checked. I don't know if New York City has different regulations than what the governor's been presenting through like his executive orders, but I haven't really kept track of all the executive orders because each one references like 92 other ones. So it's hard to really know what regulations are still like in effect, which ones have been extended, which ones have been just removed altogether
I mean,
because
yeah.
it's just hard to keep track of, so I don't really know what's allowed right now.
I don't know either because, like, literally, I will go everywhere else, like on 34th Street. Um, and because I went into Koreatown and I still saw outdoor dining, but in Astro Place I saw indoor dining. Now I can understand because Astro Place is literally like a kind of like a Japan thing where the places are so small that you actually need to go into the restaurant. There's like no space to have any outdoor dining.
Right.
But I thought they closed down indoor dining.
And it's especially bad if it's a small place too.
Yeah, but I see that they only like allowed like maybe 6 customers at a time. Like if you were
Uh-huh.
going in a couple or by yourself. Like that's what I've been seeing. I mean, that's what I saw yesterday. I mean, again, I could be wrong, but I was a little shocked. I was like, wait a minute, when did we do indoor dining? No
But
one told me.
are the restaurants like at least telling you or showing you that, oh, we've improved our airflow so that uh we can at least have some people dining, or do
I
they
have
have like any
no
signage
idea.
anywhere regarding that?
No, I don't know. I literally was just walking around and I just saw inside cuz
Yeah,
like
because like the big thing about indoor dining is that all the air stays inside, especially in the winter. So if they have some sort of like special filtration, like UV lights on like the HVAC filters, or just like any like way to vent the air to the outside and bring in new air that, obviously they heat, but like it's better than whatever is really going on at most places where they just have like a very humid and no airflow. It's just sticky,
mm,
especially the small places. So it seems like they haven't invested in better filtration, if that's if they haven't like told people about it, because that would be something important to do if they actually did it.
Yeah, but like I said, I don't know. I didn't really see like signs or whatever, and I doubt restaurants are going to do that. So I mean, I don't know. All I know is that I saw that, I was shocked and I walked away. Because then afterwards I was like, okay, I really need to start walking to 14th Street and see how far I get. But yeah. But
So
also like
did you stay 6 feet away from the restaurant itself?
I had to because it was all like downstairs type thing.
Uh huh.
So I was just on the sidewalk and all the restaurants were downstairs.
Right.
So I mean, listen, you can only do as much as you possibly can. There, it's not all going to be perfect, but I mean, I don't know. I wanted to walk because like I had worked out in the morning, and that wasn't going to cut for the minimum that you need, the 10,000 steps. So I decided to go out and do my actual 10,000 steps. And I completed it,
Uh huh.
but I think I'm feeling it now.
Right. Because you
Literally.
worked out in the morning and then went for a walk.
Yeah, like I had like maybe a 2 or 3 hour, yeah, 2 or 3 hour break in between.
Oh, I thought
And
you were going
then,
to say you did 2 or 3 hours of exercising.
oh, no, 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 no. I did an hour, a little over an hour of workout. And then, and for some reason, that workout was rough because, yeah, the day before, I did it the reverse. So I took a walk first
Uh
and
huh.
then I worked out, and the workout seemed a lot easier. I mean, I guess it's because like I already was doing things. My body was already um, moving and like getting used to like the energy flowing or whatever.
Yeah,
And
it's good to warm up before you do any intensive exercises.
yeah, I mean, usually
Not
the
stretching
workout,
in particular, but just like get your body prepped for any intensity.
yeah, which the workouts I do always start with a warm up. So, but
Uh-huh.
I guess that wasn't enough because the warm ups feel like I'm actually starting to do the actual workout.
Right.
So, um, yeah, and it was fine. I was able to do some of the stuff a lot easier than I usually would. But then yesterday morning, it just felt heavy. Like it felt long. It just
Right.
felt like I was taking forever. And in the middle, and like while I was working out, I'm like, oh gosh, please end this torture.
Yeah, I think the ideal way to do it is to get like some sort of slow warm up so you're prepared and then do your whatever exercise and then have like a cool down period where you just like let your muscles slowly wind down rather than just like stopping altogether. So it
I
like also helps with healing, I think.
I gave okay, because in between workouts it's like about like 33 minutes of a workout. And in between, like I gave myself 15 minutes of a break and then I started up again. But even then, like it was still harsh to do the second workout that usually is a not a breeze, but like it's easier on me. Um and it just felt heavy. So I was like, oh gosh, what is up with today? Like all
Uh-huh.
I had that morning was just water. So afterwards I ate and then I took a shower, then I left and I was like, okay, let me go take my walk. The walk was good. I walked through Soho, again, Astro Place, 14th Street, 23rd Street. Then I went to 34th Street. And like I said, tomorrow is Valentine's Day. So I
The-
went to yeah, I know. I didn't really think there was a lot of people already shopping for like Valentine's Day gifts, but like I went to Koreatown to see if there was two plushies because there was like the Boo, yeah, that's the name of the puppy, Boo.
uh-huh.
Because my parents, like my dad, saw the one that my mom has and he fell in love with it. So he's like trying to steal it from her now. And I'm like, okay, I need to get him his own. And my mom really wants another one. So I decided to go into Koreatown to see if they had them. And they did. So that's what I bought them for Valentine's Day. Uh, but then as I was walking to the 34th Street station after that, I was like seeing these, a bunch of people, mostly guys, with a bunch of Valentine's Day gifts. And I was like, wow, either we're doing this early or we are doing this last minute.
Wait, what do you mean early or last minute?
Cause like it was Friday night.
Right.
Are we doing this really early, like picking up gifts and stuff, or are we celebrating literally today on Saturday, and
Oh,
they're just picking things up as a last minute thing?
well, did a lot of them have like flowers and stuff?
Yeah, it was flowers, balloons, chocolate, stuffed teddy bears. Because I saw one guy walk around with a big stuffed toy. Um,
Uh huh.
I was like, I kind of felt like yesterday was Valentine's Day. Like Sunday is forgotten already.
Like, I don't know. I guess you'll have to just wait and see. Maybe you've forgotten how big crowds can be in New York City, and this is just the beginning
It
of the crowd that would come out on, well, today and tomorrow as well.
wasn't even that bad. I think it was like 6 p.m. So it wasn't bad. And yesterday was Chinese New Year. And I was gonna go and see the mini show that they had, but it was canceled. But some people, I guess, decided to celebrate on their own. So when I was walking through Chinatown, I saw like all like this confetti stuff on the floor, and I'm like, oh snap! They actually did some type of celebration, and I got
Oh,
there too late.
did they have the firecrackers? Or are you
I
able
don't know.
to
I don't
tell?
know. I got
Oh,
there too late.
right. But usually there's like dust and like burns on the ground, like in the park or
I
whatever,
just
where they do that.
I just mostly saw confetti.
Uh huh.
That's all I saw, really. And it was like a lot of garbage on the floor. Like,
As
yikes.
always.
As always, in any celebration, honestly.
Yeah. For some reason, I don't remember, but it seems like there's 3 holidays this weekend, and I've never really thought about it before.
The Chinese New Year recently became like a holiday that people were gonna take off, like at least in schools, gonna take off and celebrate. Then it's Valentine's Day, and then it's the President's Day, which happens on Monday.
Right.
Which
I
again,
don't seem I don't seem to remember them all being on the same weekend.
I think, I mean, I'm not sure, but I know that Chinese New Year, I believe, again, don't quote me on this, changes every year.
Well, it's based on the moon.
Yeah, so it changes. So it usually wouldn't be 3 days, like holiday, but I guess this year it ended up being 3 day holidays.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, but usually Valentine's Day and President's Day usually fall around the same time. It's just a weird weekend, to be honest. I don't know why this year the weekend feels just so weird during this time.
Well, because you can't really do much, and there's
True,
supposed to be a lot of stuff happening like right now. Like with the
true.
Lunar New Year, Valentine's Day, President's Day, like people would be celebrating and doing things, and you can't really do that much.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it feels like completely weird because New York didn't go into lockdown, like the city, until March. So in February, we were still doing our own thing.
Yeah, but I think wasn't it still like winding down? Like people are closing their places early or just like
It was
concerns over
more of
that?
a curfew thing, but people were still able to do things.
Uh-huh.
It wasn't like until like actual March where everything shut down. And that's
Right.
where everyone actually felt it.
Yeah, because I remember like going out maybe once or twice near that time and there were like very little people on the streets and in stores and stuff.
Yeah, I was teaching the whole time, so I had to be out the whole time. So
Uh-huh.
again, like I just remember it all still being open because I work during the day. It's the curfews don't actually happen until nighttime, so I
Right.
wouldn't see the difference really. But yeah, once March hit, I think it was March 13th, which was a Friday. They had announced that the lockdown was happening, so nobody was coming back to the schools on Monday,
Uh-huh.
and that's when literally New York City went into complete quarantine and lockdown. And I was like, oh crap, we're actually doing this.
Right.
But it's so crazy that it's about to be a whole year. A full year.
Well, I mean like in the US, you mean?
Well, yeah, like well, just even here in the New York City, it's gonna be a full year
Uh-huh.
that we're gonna complete like quarantine and stuff, like things not being quote unquote normal.
Right.
So again, it's just so bizarre to me. Like I still like am trying to wrap my head around it. Sometimes I can't believe it. Sometimes I'm like, oh well, this is now the new normal. But again, there's just times where I'm like, Jesus, last year I was doing this, or a year and a half ago I was doing this, and I was
Right.
able to do that. Now it's everything's different.
Yeah, I miss dim sum.
Yeah, good food, good food. But also, what's scary is that like the middle school, like elementary school reopened a while ago, but now middle school is reopening once the break is done.
And do middle school teachers have the vaccine?
Well, I my friend, she does. She got both doses, which thank the Lord
Okay,
Jesus Christ. But it's not a mandatory thing, which is scary.
the vaccine
Yeah.
in order to come back to school.
Mhm.
What?
I know.
But you're required to have like normal vaccines to go to school. Why not this one?
I know. I mean, cuz also I think like the vaccine isn't available yet again for and like there's not enough to get for everyone. So,
Right. So they shouldn't have people going back to the school because they're not ready to have that capacity.
I know. And I'm just like I told her yesterday. I was like, "You're so lucky you got were able to get both doses cuz there's so many people who like me, I haven't even gotten one because there's no appointments available. And then there's
Uh-huh.
others that just got the first dose and it's impossible for them to get the second one. And I'm like, and you have to go back on the 25th? Oh my gosh.
Well, that sucks.
Yeah. So, and if anything, the requirement is for the teachers to at least, but it's again, it's not mandatory nor it's an actual requirement. But the thing is, usually it would be the teachers to get the vaccine, even though the students are the major population in
Spreaders.
a school. So, if
Right.
the kids don't have it, then what sense does that make? Because they just like touching each other, they like being near each other.
They
So,
like shouting in each other's faces
yeah,
and
yeah,
picking
yeah.
boogers and
Well,
ugh,
I'm talking about middle school.
they still do that.
I mean, I guess some of them. And it's scary because I'm like,
I'm
okay,
assuming
well,
gym class isn't a thing, right?
no, gym class is still a thing.
Why?
Right now, it's all remote for gym.
R-
Um, but
remote gym.
yeah, so like you
So they
have
do
to
like yoga, or what do
there's
they
Zoom
do?
class. Well, you still do your workouts. It's just you have to have your camera on, and your teacher needs to see you do them.
Oh, uh, is there a lot of like backlash over that? Like,
For what?
I don't know, showing like having the kids have their camera on when they're working out for the teacher to look at, but I don't know.
I mean, the teacher has to do that anyways in person, so I don't see what's the
Right, but
difference.
I could see parents being against that.
No, I have not heard a complaint from parents at all.
Okay, that's good.
I mean, I see where you're getting from, but like it's literally the same thing if it was in person. Like it now it's just on camera.
Right, it's just that cameras have like that sort of I guess what do you call it? Feel about them.
Even so, it's still the same thing. I mean, I
Uh
think
huh.
that's how the parents are taking it. It's literally the exact same thing, just at home with the
Okay.
camera on. Because other and the thing is,
Wait, that
oh
means that they need space to do the workouts.
yeah, but a lot of the students, at least some of my students, have confessed to me that they'll just uh put the camera towards like to the ceiling and they're just playing games in the background.
Uh
That way the
huh.
teacher doesn't need to watch them or see them. Like their camera's technically on, they're just not doing the work.
Oops.
Uh yeah, so the kids already found a way to kind of get out of doing the workouts anyways. It's not like it's a big thing. Like if it was in person, the kids can't get away with it too much, but the kids found a way to do it.
Uh huh.
And I doubt the gym teacher at my school actually cares.
Right.
So, I mean, cuz right now gym remotely is so irrelevant unless a good gym teacher found a way to get everyone to still do their workouts, but who knows honestly because like it's already hard for those who actually like maybe like the main major classes like english science math history like can still do remotely stuff it's
Yeah.
easier for them because it's still the same thing but like for literally physical stuff or like for like my for language classes or even for art classes like things are a lot more physical you need to have another person there with you or you need to be able to touch materials or physically do things like that's a little bit harder.
Right. So Does your school do like labs and stuff, or did
I
they?
think labs are now remote too, but it's
But like
like for
chemistry and stuff?
science. Yeah, like for science, I think it's more like read the problem and try solving it in a what if situation, you know?
Uh huh. So that
Like instead
sucks.
of using like beakers and like the liquids and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like also tech, because we're a tech school,
Right.
they also have labs, and it's also like what if situations. So you read the question and you kind of figure it out from there.
Right. But like, I think a lot of labs are like team based, or like you go with a partner or whatever. So like
Hmm.
that helps with like team building and being able to focus on a task in a certain order.
Yeah. But again, it's all difficult, and a lot of people are still trying to figure out how to make anything work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So here's the thing. The on last Wednesday and this past Wednesday, we had a PD. And the school that I work at is particularly special. Not in the best way to describe my school, but my school likes giving a lot of excuses to kids. I'm not trying to hate on like some of the things that kids actually go through. And yes, we as teachers need to be very compassionate and show empathy and all that stuff, which we do automatically. But the person who was leading the PD was talking about trauma. Like that was the main focus of the PD,
Uh
students
huh.
that have trauma. And I'm like, okay, this could be very important for us to learn about. But the whole PD was, if you see a kid who doesn't want to do work, don't automatically assume that they're just being lazy. And I'm like, sure, I understand that.
But if they have an issue, they can bring it up rather than just not do the work.
Yeah, and it was more like you as the teacher need to figure out what's going on. And I'm like, yes, definitely makes sense. I got that part. And we're a high school. And all the examples that he was giving us was for elementary school base. And I'm like, okay, I used to work with elementary school. I can understand the examples. But not a lot of teachers in our circle would if they haven't worked with elementary school. And you wouldn't use the same ideas or tactics for elementary school in an high school setting.
Right.
Not once in any of his examples had anything to do with high school students. And I'm like, again, we
What
are high school. You
was he
should
like an elementary school teacher before he?
no.
Huh.
He just okay, so he was using an example of what's her name? It's from like an old TV show, I guess, where like this teacher is trying to be empathetic to her students because she has like two students in her classroom that decide not to want to do the work or not want to listen to her. So instead of being like, hey, stop doing what you're doing and do the work, right? She's like, okay, talk to me. Tell me what's going on. I believe in you. All of this stuff that you honestly would tell like an elementary school kid.
Uh huh.
And obviously, elementary school kids will get scared of teachers easily because they're older than them, right? High
Yeah.
school kids is a different story. Like they see you at the same height and they're like, haha, you're one of us. And it's like, no, I'm not, but okay, right? And I'm a short person. So a lot of my
Yeah.
students are way
Tiny.
taller than me. So, yeah. And there was one scene in the movie or the show or movie, whatever it was, that she was just like, well, I want you to do good. You can do this. Let's help out our classmates. And it's like, okay, yeah, all right, fine. Um, but again,
Positive reinforcement.
positive reinforcement works in all levels of school. Just
Don't
there's some
baby high schoolers.
you don't baby high schoolers. Like you can be empathetic and you can be compassionate, but you cannot baby high schoolers. You can't baby middle schoolers, you can't baby high schoolers. And in my eyes, you don't even baby elementary schoolers. As young as they are, I don't baby them.
Uh
I
huh.
can give them compassion. I can be empathetic, with their situation. I won't baby you though. That was the
Right.
type of teacher I was for an elementary
Right.
schooler.
You show support. You show them that you think that they can do it, and that they can believe in themselves.
Yeah. So like the whole PD was like, kids go through trauma. You need to understand it. You can't just say they're being lazy. But basically, it was trying to convey that all students have trauma. So if you see a kid being lazy, well, quote unquote, not doing their work, they're not lazy. Something's going on. And I'm just like,
Okay. I mean,
you as a teacher yourself know that that is BS, right?
you can always ask like if something's going on or if there's like an issue with the assignment or whatever. But like, I don't know.
No, 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 not even that. Like for us teachers, like we can understand maybe the first 2 months. But after that, and we start seeing your patterns, it's not because you have trauma. Like in some cases, yes. Like let's say for a student that always does their work and then turns it in on time and then automatically they stop, then I can see that there's something going on.
Uh huh.
But if from the very beginning, usually teachers are told that so and so is having a situation at home, blah, 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 blah. So we need extra support for this. If we don't hear that, and if the student doesn't come up to us and tell us, and a lot, again, students are willing to, are all in their right to refuse to tell us anything, that's fine too. But you can tell the difference between a kid going through something and a kid who just doesn't want to do their work.
Right.
So the PD was trying to convey that all students have something they're going through, and we were all like, no, they're not. Not
And
all
going through
students
life, it's
are not going
difficult.
through. Yeah, like me and my coworkers, like who I'm very close to, we were just like, so you're trying to give more excuses toward the kids. Because again, this stuff we already know. We know how to handle when like we see a change or when we see a kid who's lacking motivation because of X, Y, and Z. But if a
Right.
kid literally doesn't want to do something, no matter how hard we try, they're not going to do it. And high schoolers are smart. They will pick and choose which classes they don't want to do something. So
Right.
that makes a handful of teachers look bad, while the other handful, they make them seem like, oh my gosh, these are gods because they made this kid work. And then these teachers are crap because they couldn't make this kid work.
Right. I think partially it's like down to the amount of work that they would have to do in order to like pass or like get any sort of like good grade on an assignment or like project or whatever they have to do. So I think languages typically just get forgotten about because you have to actually think and like repeat and like actually do things rather than just like guesswork or you just look up the problem and there's the answer. Like in order to actually get the answer correct, you have to think for yourself.
See, that's so funny. Also because my coworker yesterday, because we were on the phone, and she was like, they always come at me because like the administration always come at me because I do my job. I'm not saying all the other teachers don't do their job, and again, I'm not the one who said this,
But they
but
don't.
she notices that every other teacher, like I teach ninth grade, so every other teacher in the ninth grade besides one other ninth grade teacher literally don't do their work as a serious teacher. Like
What do they do?
they literally, like one teacher gossips with like I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus, but like it's like one teacher has the fame, like she's famous for like gossiping with kids. Another teacher is famous for getting his stuff on Quizlet, and a lot of kids know where to find the answers to his stuff because he just prints them out from like a website
Oof.
and doesn't really try to hide it, you know? Like it's like a lot
And
another
is there
teacher.
any sort of like reprimands or discipline from the
No.
administration for those teachers who are not doing their jobs?
No. They're those teachers are butt kissers. Admin likes them. They're like
Uh huh.
BFFs. So, and because I don't do that, like even another teacher, her class is so easy. Kids are getting 104, 105s, 110s in her class. Not just
Yikes.
A few of them, not just half of the students, but like 95% of her students are in the 100 range.
What
Exactly.
what class is this?
This is like intro to technology, but her
Uh,
class is
those classes
so
are always
easy.
jokes anyway, regardless.
Yeah,
But like, still,
but to also have like 95% of your students passing with like over 100 is crazy to me. So
yeah. In
like,
my experience with like the tech classes, I think middle school we had like a computer class.
yeah,
Basically, if you showed up and did like anything of the classwork, you got like 100 for the day.
that makes no sense, to be honest. I don't understand
I
that.
don't even think that was homework. So like,
Yeah, I don't
basically,
understand that.
it was like a couple quizzes or whatever that were fairly easy if you actually ever did the assignments like in class. So it was hard not to get an A.
Yeah, it's funny. Because like, and I even have students give me feedback like, my class is the hardest because one, I literally make my own worksheets. I don't grab from any other website. I don't look up things. I make my own worksheets from
Are you
scratch.
are you at the point where you can reuse stuff from like things you've done before, or
Yeah,
is it
but
always
I
changing?
I change it mostly. Like, I've been changing a lot of my stuff because my first year I'm like, this wasn't really that good.
Uh
But
huh.
if I see something that was okay, I'll just modify it or like make it better.
Right.
But
That saves a lot of time since you don't have to like figure stuff out from scratch. You at least have some sort of base.
yeah, but again, like, I think that a lot of my worksheets can make some improvements, so I just improve on them or just start from zero again, because because like language is different. Like, I always try to find a way to make it easier for like the language to be learned,
Uh
because
huh.
teaching Spanish is, it sounds easy. It's really not easy when you get to the grammar.
Are you still teaching Chinese?
Yeah, Mandarin is also hard. It's very hard. I teach it.
Right.
But you know what? It's funny because most of my students, because I teach two Mandarin classes,
Uh
and
huh.
most of my students in those two Mandarin classes have a higher class average than my Spanish classes. Because again, the Spanish
Right.
students think that this is an easy grade. And I'm like, no, it's
Especially
not.
if they come from a Hispanic background.
Most of them do come from a Hispanic household or a Spanish speaking
Right.
household. So they think they can just wing it and it'll be fine. But once they start really
But they have the rules
realizing
wrong.
the rules, the conjugations, once they start seeing the grammar part of it, they're like, oh crap. Like, I actually now have to pay attention.
Right.
So like, I make everything from scratch. I scaffold when I need to. I'm not going to scaffold all the time, and that's what a lot of teachers do, especially like the
Wait, what's that?
okay, so if for somebody who doesn't know, for people who don't know what scaffolding is like giving crutches to a kid, like helping them out throughout the lesson or throughout the worksheet.
Uh huh.
So like giving hints here and there, or giving them like a word bank, and like, to kind of
Examples.
help out, or examples
Okay.
literally in their faces, when like they need it. I only do that when I'm showing examples, or when I ask like, what are the endings to, like, for example, conjugations. So I only scaffold when it's needed, and
Uh
I
huh.
mostly do my scaffolding in my lessons because I have the students always practice throughout my lessons. Once they
Right.
got to do the work on their own, they can just reference back to what they learned in the lessons, because the scaffolding's all there. I won't do the scaffold on the worksheet. I'm not doing that. I know there's one teacher who literally scaffolds every step of the way, and I'm like, that's bad, because
Right.
then the kid can't do it on their own at some point. There's some kids that do need that scaffold because of IEPs, or they just have really bad memory or whatever it is. But like, most of the kids don't need it. So they should not be getting it. And like, there are teachers that literally, at least even in my own grade team, will give all full on scaffolds. And it's like, well, what are the kids actually doing on their own then?
Uh huh.
Just physically writing or physically typing? That's literally all they're doing on their own. Like that, and even the assistant principal tried to throw shade at me in one of the what do you call it? One of the celebrations. She was like, everyone wants to receive the tech award, but language is the hardest to get.
Uh huh.
And I'm like, yeah, because when we give out awards, they have to be meaningful, right? You won this because you went above and beyond.
Basically, do they
But
not do that?
all of the literally almost every kid gets an award, and I find that insane.
Participation ribbons.
There's like participation ribbons. There's grit, which is like you I guess making it showing a big improvement. There's teamwork. There's this and there's that and there's not being absent anymore. And I'm like, what is this
Anymore? Like it's
anymore?
not even like whatever zero absences award. It's just, well, you used to be absent a lot, but now you're doing slightly better.
Exactly. That's literally what the award is. We still
With
have the zero absences awards, like
right.
100% attendance, which is supposed to be given. But you're giving also awards for kids who stopped being absent. I mean, I get the positive reinforcement, but that's a little bit too far.
Yeah, seems like they want to do positive reinforcement for everyone all the time, even though it's
Literally.
no longer relevant when they're basically out of elementary school.
Yeah. And my students, they literally know that if you're not like, I only do my awards based on scholarship. Like, unless I see an actual improvement from somebody, and I mean, like, you're not coming into extra tutoring hours at the end of the marking period to make up the work to go from a 60 to a 90.
Uh huh.
I'm talking about like you actually noticing that you were failing or not doing so well. And this time you're actually putting your 110% and turning in your work late. I mean, turning in your work on time, asking questions, helping others. Then I'll give at most improvement. But I haven't seen that
Uh
because
huh.
usually a lot of the students like being lazy and trying to do things at the very end. That's not what I did. That's why I don't give most improved because nobody has most improved in any of the classes. What I do give is scholarships. So if you're not in the top, you're not getting one from me.
Uh huh.
And I go based on um, one of my teachers in high school used to give his awards because like and I love this teacher. His name was Mr. Orr, and I shouldn't say was, he's still alive, but his name is
Cool.
Mr. Orr. I don't remember his first name, but he used to teach Mandarin 101. So that was my first teacher ever who I learned Mandarin. And he barely gave out awards. If anything, it would be one award per class,
Uh huh.
if anything. So I knew that my friend got like 101 in his class once and I was like at a 99 and I was so disappointed. I was like, I was trying so hard to get this award and I knew I wasn't going to get it, but at the end of the day he only gave out two awards. One for most improved and then one for best grade overall.
Uh huh.
And I was like, he's going to announce her. It's okay. I'm happy for my friend, like she's cool. But then he said my name
What?
because it was overall, not for just one marking period. It was like overall best grade and
Oh,
consistency. So I had the best grade overall and consistent work. So I got the award, and I was the only one who got the award for scholarship from him.
nice.
And I was like, yes, I'm recognized for all my hard work. Like
Eat
no
my
one
dust.
else, huh?
Eat my dust.
Right? No one else got an award for this. I did. And I go based on that because like there are kids who literally will work a lot to stay consistent, stay on top. But in my school, in the school I work at, that's not what matters. What matters is the kids who haven't done too well trying to improve. And I'm like, that's great, but then you kind of push away those who have always been consistent.
Uh huh.
So I give only to awards to those who have been consistent or whoever like stays on top. So some classes they will tie for first place. Some classes will only have one person. I had one Mandarin class that it was a three-way tie for first place. So I gave the awards for them. And I'm like, it always changes. No one's ever going to be perfect unless, I'm not trying to brag, but I was always number one in Mandarin class.
Okay.
Nobody can touch me there. But
Miss Perfect A.
yeah, actually, yeah, I always got A pluses in Mandarin. So even in college, except
Uh-huh.
for that study abroad, that was BS. But it
You
didn't
got
even have
graded for
anything to
that?
do. Huh?
You got graded for that?
I got graded for that. It wasn't even for the language class. I would have aced
Huh?
the language class. It was for philosophy. Why did I want to learn philosophy? I didn't sign up for the study abroad for this.
Wait, what?
I
Your
know.
your grade in philosophy was based on your study abroad in China?
No, my Mandarin grade was based
Uh-huh.
on a philosophy class in China.
Oh. Did
Yeah.
did you guys Oh, you took a class in China is what you're saying.
Yeah. Well, that's the study abroad. What would you do in study abroad programs?
Uh I thought you were just selling Girl Scout cookies to the rich people in the mall.
No, 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 no.
Oh,
No, we actually had class. Um,
it was in Chinese?
nope. It was in English.
Uh-huh.
A philosophy class in China. It would have made more sense if it was a language class
Right.
in China.
But I guess they
Unless,
don't
like,
really have experience teaching Chinese to foreigners in China. Maybe. I don't
no,
know.
that it would have been the perfect opportunity. Like, that's the thing. It would have been a perfect opportunity. Like,
Uh-huh.
unless you know the language already, then you can do history in China, but in literally in Chinese. But no, we took English, like Chinese philosophy class, which was all written in English, and not
Uh-huh.
once we took a moment to be like, so this is the culture, and this is how we speak the language here, and blah 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 blah. Right?
Strictly
We
business
strictly business down to the T. Right?
about Chinese philosophers.
Chinese philosophers. I didn't understand a word it was talking about because the book was poorly written. The textbook was poorly written. The translation was horrible.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, I didn't understand a word. I can consider myself very smart and intelligent, but even I didn't understand what the heck was going on. And I got a B minus in that
Sad.
class. And I still hate it to this day. And I've already graduated 2 years out of college, and I'm still angry about that
What
because
can you do?
I've been getting straight top A's in Mandarin class in college. For you to tell me I get a B minus for a Chinese philosophy class that was poorly written, I received no help from my professor. Literally, every time I asked a question, just read it.
Uh-huh.
But I don't understand. Just go back to the text. But then the next kid next to me is like, can you help me with this? Yeah, sure. So if you look on line 35, you can see that so and so is talking about this. So what are they telling you? I'm like, I literally had the same question, but you're telling me to look back at the text and yeah, you're helping them. What kind of BS is this?
Favoritism?
It was favoritism. So if you guys didn't hear last week's podcast, it was just me ranting about my study abroad experience. Um, but yeah, you can hear that one. It was rough study abroad experience. But
Yeah.
yeah, I
I
don't
mean,
know.
my own study abroad was pretty tame because we didn't really even have grades.
Interesting.
It was just show up for class, do whatever you want to do, really, and like there's some assignments, but like you're not graded on it, so it doesn't matter.
So what was the point?
To experience the Polish culture, we we like went out into the city and like did things.
Okay.
Um, I guess one was a class. I guess it was a class, but like basically, I had to go out into the main square and ask people in Polish like where to find things. So it was like a treasure
Oh.
hunt sort of deal. And basically, I had to figure out how to understand directions and like
Mm.
go to certain areas and like pick up certain things like a fruit or like a wallet or whatever you have to do.
Like a
Uh,
scavenger hunt.
yeah, that's what it was. So I think that was a cool experience and definitely something that people should do if they're in a foreign country. You have to actually go out, talk to people that are just like on the street and manage to communicate in a foreign language and like not fall back on English because that's cheating.
Oh yeah, definitely. But in Poland, do people know how to speak English?
Surprisingly not that many
Okay.
do. Even in like the major cities, like a lot of people are set in their ways sort of deal and don't really want to learn English, but like there's a lot of young people in the city, so obviously they know how to speak English.
Mhm.
But like if you go to like the older parts of town or just like go to a different part of the country altogether, like people don't really know English.
Oh,
Yeah, but
interesting.
the food's good. I want those bagels.
Of course, it's always the bagels.
They're like pretzel bagel deal. Like they're amazing. And they were like what, 3 for $1 or something?
I have a question. So when I literally just forgot my question. Oh,
Oh,
how was you?
how was you?
I can't speak today, guys. What is wrong with me? How was talking to people? Because can you speak fluent Polish?
No.
So how was that for you?
I mean, like at the time we were doing like the language grammar sort of deal in the classes as well. So I was sort of like picking up stuff, at least like how to form sentences, but I basically forgot all that because I never practiced afterwards.
But you
My parents,
understand it.
yeah, my parents speak Polish, so I can understand most things, but I never reply in Polish or anything like that.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
See, I never understood that from people. Like I'm always fascinated because like even I have friends and I have students who grow up in households where they only speak their mainland language, right?
Uh huh.
But yet the kids never pick it up. Like they can either understand them but cannot reply to them, or they barely understand them and can somewhat reply. Like I never understood that. Like if you're at home and your mom is speaking to you in Spanish or Polish, how is it that you haven't picked up the language? Like, I mean, maybe you can explain why you didn't pick it up like that because I still don't understand. Like, because I grew up in a Spanish speaking household. Like, literally, I was only allowed to speak Spanish at home.
Uh
English stayed outside, Spanish in the household. So that's why I never lost my Spanish, or that's how I actually learned to be fluent because Spanish was my first language. Until I got to school, I learned English, but I never lost. Like usually when people learn English, they forget about their first language. Um,
huh.
so, but because of that rule, Spanish in house, English outside, I never lost it. So how come you never picked it up if your parents always spoke it to you?
Because they would not really force me to speak Polish or like deal with things in Polish. Like I would ask them to say something in English instead if I didn't understand something, rather than try to figure it out. So primarily it's lack of discipline, and I guess probably something that happened was like when I first went to like preschool or whatever, I didn't know any English, but like everyone was speaking
Mm.
English at the preschool, and I needed to figure out how to do English. So I think my mom stopped speaking
To
in
do
Polish during that
English.
time, at least just to make me speak in English. I believe that's what happened.
I mean, did your mom already know English before that?
Uh, very little. I think she had to pick up a lot of stuff like when she worked at Rolex as a secretary.
Oh, fancy.
Yeah, my grandpa was, I don't know if he was a watchmaker, but he like worked at Rolex too for a long time.
Fancy.
I guess.
Well, my dad was the only one who had any prior knowledge in English because he had to learn it by force as he started working here in the United States.
Right. It was the
But
same for my dad too.
yeah,
I don't know if his first job was like a taxi driver, but I believe it was, and he basically had to learn English and how to navigate New York City in a car.
My dad's first job, he was working at a pizzeria
Right.
here in the United States. Um,
Wait, is that place still open?
that place is actually now closed down. Like the last, was it his first or his last? But one of the pizzerias he worked at, because he worked at pizzerias and Italian restaurants,
Right.
um, as like the part of the cook, right? He never did any of the cleaning or he never made pizzas, but he did all the pasta dishes.
Right.
So he used to work for places like that. And I think one of the restaurants, no, the restaurant that he worked at, finally shut down maybe like a year or two ago.
Uh-huh.
So um, he was quite sad about it, but like it just brought back so many memories. And he kind of ran into the son, or wait, is it the son? No, it's the daughter of the owner of that restaurant, and
Uh-huh.
she remembered him. And then the husband was like, "Wait a minute, I think I've seen you before too." And my dad was like, "Yeah, you used to come very little, like not so often,
Uh-huh.
but I remember you." And it was like a nice experience because like my dad was like, "Wow, this was like the first restaurant I've ever worked at here
Well,
in
that's
the United
cool.
States." Yeah, and the whole family was like, I mean, my dad also not only picked up English but also picked up Italian because he used to work at these places. So when I went to school, I literally was on my own. The only time, like in preschool, it was the only place I was able to learn English. My mom and my dad refused to help me in any way
Uh-huh.
to teach me English because one, my mom had no idea what literally English. What who is she, right? And my dad was like, "Ah, she'll learn by herself." So it was like, well, I'm trapped in a school, no idea how to speak the language. And I see that there's kids in my age. How do I communicate with them?
Uh-huh.
So it was pretty funny. Um,
I mean, you have good survival skills, so I know that you were able to survive in that environment and like learn English on your own, right?
I think I think I do have good survival skills because like I will pick up things, I memorize things really quick. Like,
Yeah, I have a negative memory. I forget things that I learned prior when I'm trying to learn something else. And
oh
then I
gosh,
learn the thing that I was trying to learn. Like I forget the thing I was trying to learn right afterwards. So I basically double loss of memory.
horrible.
I think I can remember one thing right now.
You even took Japanese class
Twice.
twice. How much do you remember?
Konnichiwa.
Arigato.
Yeah, basically. Ramen.
Oh my gosh. I think
Have you ever
I'm
had ramen for breakfast?
Yes, I've have. I've gone to a restaurant once with with a friend or friends or multiple times, maybe. I don't remember.
Oh, multiple
Um,
breakfasts.
yeah, I think so.
I guess technically it's breakfast for me. If I, since I don't eat in the morning, then I just, if that's the first meal, even if it's in the afternoon, I guess it's technically breakfast,
I mean, it
right?
would be
Is
worse
that
for
how it
you,
works?
I guess. I mean, I don't eat breakfast. I usually just go in straight into lunch. Because my work day doesn't allow me to take a break, so I usually end up eating once I'm done.
Is there no lunch?
Oh yeah, we don't have lunch.
What?
Yeah. No bathroom breaks, no lunch, no breathers.
Uh huh. And they pay you $500 million, right?
No. I mean, if it was in like in person, regular school hours, we would have a lunch. I mean, for some reason, my school decided
But that doesn't make
push
sense because
through.
there's more time in the day when you don't have to commute. So there should be time for lunch or a break or anything.
Yeah, my school decided push through and we'll finish early.
Uh huh.
So while the kids can just grab food from their own home or their parents can give them food, we're here literally sitting in front of the computer. Like, we can't move.
Oof.
Yeah, oof, big oof. My friend who's a middle school teacher, she has a lunch. She still ends an hour later than we do, but she's like, I
Is it
don't
an
know how
hour
you.
lunch?
She gets like a 45-minute lunch
Uh huh.
or an hour. She said an hour. I think it's an hour.
Huh.
So, but she's like, I would
Lunch
still rather
lunch was
have an
always
hour.
20 minutes in school.
How?
But it's always been like that for me. Like 20-minute lunch. That's all you get.
That is so weird. We would at least get 45 minutes.
Huh. Yeah, I was
What school
basically
did you go
always
to?
public school, and then I went to a private school and it was the same thing.
Interesting.
But it was like basically wolfing down the food I had, and for the people that like actually bought lunch, they had even less time because, it takes
You
like
had to be on the
15
line.
minutes to get lunch. So they always like, I don't know, got whatever fried food that's easy to eat, so they just stuff that down their throats and then you're done with lunch.
It's funny because the for growing up with 45-minute lunch breaks, not many kids decided to eat lunch
Uh-huh.
because they didn't like the school cafeteria lunch, so they would avoid it at any cost, or they would buy food in the morning and then just bring it in with them and wait until like lunchtime to eat it, but
Right.
or brought their own food.
I don't think I ever really uh disliked any school lunches. But that's probably because I didn't like have it every day. I like my mom or dad always made food for me. And then like on the rare occasion I was allowed to get the lunch food. I mean the cafeteria food.
Yeah, for me, the only thing I had made was probably breakfast, and that was up until high school because then I got money, which was only like $5 a week, and I still decided I want a bagel today with butter, and that costs $1, or a
Uh-huh.
butter roll that costs $1, so I can have this every morning. Um,
That when
instead,
when was that? Like middle school or you
no,
said
that
high
was high
school?
school.
Okay.
Yeah, that's when it changed. But usually my dad would always like get up, make breakfast for us, and that would be it. Unless I specially requested him to make a second sandwich for me for lunch, or
Uh-huh.
to pack up like rice or whatever for lunch, then I would take something with me. But usually I would have the
Just a
cafeteria
rice
food.
ball?
Huh?
Just a rice ball?
It would be rice with broccoli or like spaghetti. Like it
Oh,
wasn't be something. It wouldn't be something fancy because there was no microwaves available.
right.
So
So you ate it cold?
I ate it cold. Yeah,
Ugh.
I mean I had to. There was no other choice,
I guess.
which is why I didn't request it so often. I would request it here and there. Um, I was very close to like guidance, so they my guidance counselor, Mr. Fuentes, love him. He would heat up my food sometimes. He wasn't allowed to, but he did it for me because I was very close. Um,
Uh-huh.
I was very
Favoritism
liked
here.
by a huh?
Favoritism, I see.
I was okay. Listen, I earned my respect. Okay, I never gave
Okay.
any teachers a hard time. I always did their work on time. I always respected. I was very respectful, and I was always top student, one of the top students. So I earned my respect.
Uh-huh.
But I was never a teacher's pet. That I will say. I just respected teachers enough to do their work and not complain about it and do my best.
Teacher's pet. Teacher's pet.
Of course, of course. In my for my students, for those like they see other kids like get hundreds and stuff or in the 90s, they're like, "Oh, they're all tryhards." It's like, "No, all you have to do is just do your work. That's all
Basically.
you have to do. They're not tryhards. You just have to do your work. You do it right and you get a good grade."
They don't want to do
You
any work.
that I don't understand. You trying to insult other kids for being tryhards when all they do is complete the work that they have to do, and that's it.
Yeah, but I guess that's the what do you call it? The coping method that they have where they're jerks and lazy and they want to bring other people down.
I guess, but it's why?
I don't know.
Just why? I will never understand that. Oh gosh.
Yeah.
School is hard. Why am I still in it? I don't understand.
Why did you want to become a teacher?
Listen, I'll speak about that another time. I sometimes wonder myself. I mean, I've always loved school, but I thought I'd be done with it, and I'm still here.
Uh-huh.
Oh gosh, my life.
What's the plan?
Plan is to run away.
No, that's not the plan.
To run away and never look back.
So you don't have anything like after teaching, you're gonna become a teacher forever?
Oh, I plan on being a professor,
Uh
but
huh. So
just
still a teacher.
still a teacher, yeah.
I see.
It's what I wanted to do from the beginning is be a professor, but you have to do um I need some teaching experience first. So I
Or
mean,
you can just become a scientist and then professor afterwards.
no, I don't want to do that.
Uh huh. No
You can't
teaching degree
I,
required.
I would always say you need to have a teaching degree because you can't just go into math and then expect to understand how to teach a kid math. It's two different things.
Two
Don't
plus
do
two.
that to yourself
What's two plus two?
because teaching goes beyond just teaching the subject is how to manage and handle kids who literally will not listen to you if you don't do things right.
Uh huh.
And the worst thing is that you're not their parents. So if their parents can't hit them, you can't hit them. So
What? What kind of logic is that?
so imagine having to just like suck it in and just not try to strangle a kid because they don't listen,
Well, that's just impossible. How do
right?
you do it?
Um by literally torturing them with work.
Nice.
That's my revenge. Low key.
Ho ho ho.
Ha, ha, ha. So, this is we're going to end it off here because life is telling us life. Life is just life. Life is always going to be life and life is never going to change.
Uh, yeah. That
Positive reinforcement.
okay. That did not. I don't think there was a real message in there.
Life is life. When something goes wrong, I always say life. Even to my students, when they said I got two questions wrong, I'm like, life.
But
That's it. That's all
uh
I
huh.
tell them. Life.
Not even like life isn't fair. Just life.
Just life.
Uh
Literally
huh.
life. Because in that because once I give them that response, they're like, I know. I knew this answer. And I'm like, mm-hmm.
Sure you did. That's why you put
No.
it down, right?
More like, I know you did. So why you didn't write it down?
That, that's what I said.
Oh, I thought you were okay, being sarcastic, but okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
I
Like
am
sure you did.
always
Yeah, sure.
sarcastic. Apparently.
Maybe. I'm just like, mm-hmm. So, because I have one kid. Okay, before we end up, this is a funny thing. A funny take off before we leave the podcast. But the second quiz that I gave out, I had them translate a sentence. Like, for example, a sentence. The first thing it said was ni hao, which means hello.
Ni hao.
He put you good
What? What?
because ni means you and how means good. So you good.
So he Google translated each
No, no,
character.
no, no, no. The thing is, I had said it once in the lesson. I was like, yeah, you want to know what's funny? If you literally translate this, it says, you good. But no, don't think of it that way. It says, ni hao. Like, it says hello. It means hello.
Uh
He
oh.
took the one thing I had said once, even though I said ni hao, it means hello, like 10 times. But he took the one thing I said once and said, you good in the quiz.
Yeah.
And I
You
was
can't.
like,
You can't really say things like, "Oh, don't think about it this way. Make sure you definitely do not think about pink elephants." You know, it's like that sort of deal, and they focus
Be-
on that.
no, because like part of the lesson, like we learned about the pronouns, like wo, ni, neen, neeman, woman, ta man, ta ta. Um, so when
Woman,
woman means like we. Um,
huh?
so we learned about the pronouns, and if you look at the character ni, it just means you. We learned about like how to say I'm good, I'm not too good, I'm not feeling well, or stuff like that to responsive how are you, right?
Uh huh.
Literally the word how translates to good. So that's why I was like at the end of the lesson, like, by the way, I know you some of you noticed that ni hao literally says you good. So don't think of it that way because it's not you good, it's hello.
Uh
And he
huh.
took the one thing I said not to do and put it on his quiz. And then when he saw his results back, he was like, wow. And I was like, life. And he was like, I put you good twice on this quiz. And I'm like, You did. How you
Uh-huh.
feel about that? He just started
Not really.
laughing. I will never forget that answer. That was hilarious.
Uh-huh.
He started laughing at his own mistake because he was like, I knew what this was. Why did I put you good twice? Because it wasn't in one question. No, he said you good in two questions.
Uh-huh.
And his classmates started like laughing with him, not at him, because it was like we're cool like that as a class. So we just started laughing. And he was like, I'm never doing that thing again. I'm like, I hope not. Because you got the rest of the sentence perfectly fine.
Uh-huh.
How did you get the one easy part wrong? and,
Yeehaw.
and then he goes, well, technically, I wasn't wrong. And I'm like, but technically, you were.
Yeah. You're not describing the characters, you're translating.
Yeah, exactly. But on that note, the mistakes we do when we do the things we are told not to do, that is called life.
Yeah.
It's
I
life
do
right
that a
there.
lot.
I don't know why.
Uh I don't know. I guess I want to be a rebel,
Rebel.
or I'm just lazy and stupid. Either way.
Either you're a Gryffindor or a Slytherin. One or the other.
Sure. So you're saying I'm
Yeah.
evil.
I mean, you're either a crab or a Goyle.
What?
You know
What?
Draco's
Oh, Crab and Goyle. I
yeah.
thought you said Goyo. Goyo.
We're not talking about Goya here.
Yeah, I had no idea what you were talking about.
If I give a Harry, you know what? Listeners, please leave it in the comments below which part of this podcast was like a WTF moment for you. Okay, maybe this crab and Goyle
Well,
thing was a
hey,
WTF for you.
okay,
Yes.
you know how I think you. I don't remember the topic at hand, and I just
I literally gave a Harry Potter reference and you
yeah,
it went
I
over
know,
your head.
I know that
hmm
you know how I work.
Life.
Yeah, life. Okay.
life. Life. It
Yeah,
happens because it's life.
yeah. And if you want to live your life in a positive way, you can find us on different platforms where you can listen to us talk about random things and stuff that doesn't really make sense.
Yeah.
Uh, Such as on YouTube, Spotify, Anchor, Breaker, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, and that's it.
And
So,
if you
oh,
want to find all of those stuff, the link is in the description below. If you're listening to this on YouTube
or anywhere.
or
I
anywhere.
believe it distributes properly on all those sites
I
where
hope
it gives
so.
you the description. I thought I checked it before, but maybe I should check again.
Yeah. Because if not, then life.
Yeah. Anyway, I believe that's life,
That's life. Wow. Message and moral of the story. Life,
basically.
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 So thank you guys so much for watching this very random 1 hour of I don't know what just happened podcast
We had a topic.
Otaku. We
It didn't
technically,
it didn't
yeah,
go.
we didn't get to talk about it, but next time we will.
I guess
Promise.
so.
I
Yeah.
hope so.
Okay.
All right, guys. We will see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.